Hi guys, let us understand CSS Cascading Style set. So as we know, we are having HTML, so it is a hypertext markup language, right? And generally in the beginning, what happened? We were using HTML and we were applying the fonts and all with the tag. In turn, the size of the document was getting bigger, and it was tough to handle. It was tough to maintain. In later, if I want to change the theme, everywhere, every line I need to do editing, right? But now it's very simple. The all formatting, all styles, you can keep it separate. Okay, so you can put some CSS file and you can use this CSS file with this page. Even the resolution has increased. If you're having some other page, okay, the same CSS you can use, right? Later if you want to change, you can use another CSS and just use it, and the look and feel of the HTML page will get changed, right? So let us understand the details how we can work with CSS cascading style set here. Okay, so what is CSS? CSS stands for cascading style set. Styles define how to display HTML elements, right? Styles were added to HTML 4.0 to solve a problem, right? The problem which I just discussed. External style set can save a lot of work. External style sets are stored in the CSS file. So we make .css file. Let us say xyz.css. You can write the style in the same page with a style tag. There's one style tag where you can define all this. Keep defining here, close the style, and that style you can write in the head section, right, of HTML tag. If this style you want to put it separate file, just bring into the CSS file and link this CSS file to HTML page. So this has added in HTML4 version, right? There are different level of HTML, level of development I can say here. Okay, so style solved a big problem. Look at here, HTML was never intended to contain tags for formatting document, right? So HTML was intended to define the content of document like H1, P1, P paragraph, sorry, S2. So a lot of tags are there, and they have introduced some kind of font. When tag like font added, so and color attributes were added to the HTML 3.2 specification, it started a nightmare for web developers, right? So development of large website where fonts and colors informations were added to every single page become a long and expensive process. Now this is a bigger problem. That was like in future or later, if you want to change the some kind of font color information, I need to go to every page and every line wherever the tag is used and the colors and all fonts, I need to change it. So to solve this problem, the World Wide Web Consortium W3C created CSS, that is called Cascading Style Set, in HTML4. And all formatting could be removed from the HTML document and stored in separate CSS file. Even if you're putting there also, you can have a whole stuff separately and you can reuse. So all browsers support CSS also, almost. But there are some latest CSS3 which is still not supported by all the browsers. So there is a huge incompatibility of the browsers, right? Okay. Now CSS save a lot of work. CSS defines how HTML elements are to be displayed. Styles are normally saved in external .css file, right? External style set enable you to change the appearance and layout of all the pages in a website. External style sheet enable you to change the appearance of layout of all the page in website just by editing a single file, right? So you can just change the one, what file? Right, CSS file, right? So we need to change this CSS file and the whole page layout, the whole web page design and colors and theme will get changed. Now let us understand the CSS syntax, how to write the syntax and how we can write the CSS code. So a CSS rule has two main parts. One is the selector, right? And one or more declaration. So let us say you are saying H1 selector. In curly braces you are declaring I want H1 color blue, font size 12 point, and something other font face, you can say semicolon font face Algerian or Arial, anything. So you can keep having the more declaration in a line. In between these curly braces open and close. Once I use H1 in my page, that H1 will have a default color what? Blue, and size is 12 points. If you want wherever you written H1, the color will be red, just you need to say red and the whole page will get reflected. The selector is normally the HTML element you want to style, right? So selector is normally in the HTML element. So let us say I am doing for H1, I am doing for paragraph, I am doing for H2. Okay, I want to do for div. So you can write this tag. So selector is nothing but it's just an element, and declaration what the attributes and properties you want to apply with that tag. So the property is the style attribute you want to change. Each property has a value. So this is the property and this is a value, right? Color is a property and this is the value. You can notice it, property value, property value. So that pair you have to keep writing, and you can separate it with a semicolon, right? And value you have to say colon. So CS declaration always ends with semicolon, and declaration groups are surrounded by curly brackets, right? So you can notice here this I have a for P and say color equal to red. So color equal to red means you have to use colon, not equal to sign. Then semicolon, text align center. So text will be center, right? So you can put more declaration, it depends on your requirement what you want to put there. Now comments, we can have a comments in the CSS. So comments are used to explain your code and may help you when you edit the source code at a later date. So comments are ignored by the browser. So CSS comments begin with slash star and then star slash. Okay. So if anything writing, you can just say here what, if something you're writing and you want to make it comment, slash star and then star slash. Okay. So this will become comment here, right? CSS ID and class. So let us understand the other stuff here. What is CSS ID and class here? In addition to setting a style for HTML elements, CSS allows you to specify your own selector called ID and class. So instead of writing, okay, we are having some limited tag, right? So that tag we can use as a selector. But suppose I want to define something independent, which we can use with any kind of tag, right? So we have a concept here, ID and selector. Okay. Now the ID selector is used to specify a style for a single unique elements. The ID selector uses the ID attribute of the HTML element and is defined with a hash. The style rule below will be applied to the element with ID equal to para1, right? So we'll see here. The class selector. The class selector is used to specify a style for a group of elements, right? Unlike the ID selector. The class selector is most often used on several elements. So this allows you to set a particular style for an HTML elements with the same class, right? So the class selector uses the HTML class attribute and is defined with a dot. So the example below, all HTML elements with class center will be center aligned. Now I just said you here, say it is saying what class is used to specify a style for a group of elements, right? So here, now what you can do here, you can just, let us say one thing more, I just tell you here. Let us say you are having paragraph. Now you are defining for paragraph, but I want a few more definition for the paragraph only. What you will do? So you can say here p dot 1 and define, okay, p dot 2. So I'm using dot operator here. This is right. Now once you are using the paragraph p, right, what you will do? You have to say class. What class? Class equal to 1, right? So once you are writing something in this p, it will use this guy. If I don't write this, it will use this guy. If writing class equal to 2, it will use this guy, right? So by this way, you can specify more styles for the same element. That is one thing. But if you're specifying like this, say here has, you can just say red. Okay. Now you just write some definition here. Now this red you can use with any kind of element. Then how you can use? You have to say p id equal to red. So it is independent from, you just close it and say close p. I say here h1, let us say h1, and I say id equal to red, writing h1 and closing h1 here, right? So it will use this. So you are able to use this id here with different tags, right? So this is what id and class selector, right? But this is not good to use id here because you are already having id, so it's not have a duplicate id, right? Id should be always unique. So you can also specify that one specific HTML element should be affected by a class. So you can see this example. I'll just open this example. Now look at here. Now just say right click, view source. Look at this code here. What I said here, style type text CSS and style close here. Inside that I'm using p.center, text align center, right? Now h1 I'm saying class center, p class center. So I'm able to use this center, that is a class, in h1 tag, in p tag, or any other tag we can use, right? Sorry, yeah, it can be used only with the paragraph here. So you have noticed that it is the center, it is getting affected in the paragraph only, right? It is not able to use with the h1, right? Okay, if you could have written here has center, you could have used here h1 class center, sorry, id center you could have used here, right? Okay, so we'll see the next one. CSS how to embed the CSS. So when a browser reads a style sheet, it will format the document according to it. So there are three ways of inserting a style sheet, even more. External style sheet, internal, and inline. Even you can set the style sheet with browser also, right? So if you go to the browser, I show you where you can do that. This is a browser, and just say tools. Uh, Go to the internet option, go to the accessibility, and check the style sheet here if you're having something, and say OK, apply. So you have got the changes, right? See the effect. Even this guy is not having that styles, right? So it is looking the browser also. If browser is having some style, it will use that style. Otherwise, if the page is having, it will use the page. If it is some external file is having, it will use that one. So I'm just removing this styles here. Okay. That is what browser style sheet. External style sheet, you can have a separate CSS file and you can link the CSS file with HTML page. And then you can have an internal style sheet. Just now you have seen that the code that is an internal style sheet because the styles are written inside the tag here, right? Inside the page here. So you can notice this here. The styles are written in the page itself. So this is what internal style sheet, right? Inline style sheet, if you're writing some style along with the tag, you are just saying tag and then a style equal to, and you are defining the style. I'll show you the code here. So look at your external style sheet, how you can link the external style sheet here. In the head section, you will need to write link. A relationship is a style sheet, and then you have to say type equal to text or CSS. Okay, text or CSS, and then you have to say href. So let us say exe3.css, right? Now I have written whole style sheet. Let us say these are the code had been written here in exe3.css. Okay. So HR horizontal rule and paragraph and body. So I am defining all these styles in this file and I want to bring into certain page. So what I'll do? Simple. I need to write link relationship. Okay. Style sheet type text is and reference hyperreference the file name, and you can see the effect. Internal style sheet, look at here. Inside the head section, you have to say style open and style close, right? So style having, and then you are just keep defining the all the formattings here, right? Okay. Inline, look at this, the inline style sheet. What I said, if writing some style along with the tag, then we can say it is inline style sheet. So P style, see here, I'm using paragraph and say style, color, margin, left 20 pixel, and I'm displaying the paragraph. So this paragraph will organize with color, this Sena whatever it is used, and it will left 20 pixel and it will display the message. This is a paragraph, right? So an inline style loses many of the advantage of a style sheet by mixing content with presentations. So use this method sparingly, right? To use inline styles, you use the style attribute in the relevant tag. Okay. Multiple style sheets. What will happen if you're having internal style sheet, inline style sheet, external style sheet, and browser setting style sheet? What will happen? So it will just get the browser style sheet, okay, then it will take your external, then it will take an internal, and then it will take an inline. So inline will get a higher priority, right? So whatever the stubs are inline, that will get a major priority and display according to the inline style sheet, right? And if it is missing, it may take from the internal, it may take from the, let us say few styles you have given to browser, few style you have given to external, internal, like this. So it can take all. If it is overridden, again, let us say color is red, you have done in inline, so it will take color red. So you just take care of this, okay? So you can notice this example here. uh, you can just see here that S3 color red takes a line left, font size 8 point, right? Again in the internal style sheet, takes a line right, font size 20 point, right? And if the page with the internal style sheet also links to the external style sheet, the product is for S3. So it is saying that color red takes a line right and size 0.20. So it will ignore the external, it will ignore this one, right? So since color is not here, so it is taking from here, and it is just having a line from here and text size here. So that is the final style sheet, right? Style. I hope you understood this. So multiple styles will cascade into one. Styles can be specified inside an HTML element, inside the head section, in an external CSS, right? So all you can refer in a single HTML page also. Okay. Cascading order. So the browser default, right? As I said, if browser is having setting, so it will take from here, then here, then here, then here. Finally, it will apply this guy. If here it is a setting 2 property, here it is another uh, 1 property. Okay, here another 4 property, something like. So if that 4 property is not matching with this 2, it will take this 2 also and 1 and 4 and apply finally here. If some inline is there, it will take. So all together it will take the, it's like keep getting all the styles finally and applying with the tag. So an inline style has a highest priority, as I said here, which means that it will override the styles defined inside the head tag and external and browser. So it will override it all, and finally it will get it the styles. Okay. So that's all about understanding the basic CSS concept. Okay. Next we have to understand the CSS background.